It's the end of the line for the Chestnut Hill Trolley this weekend. After 100 years of rolling along Germantown Avenue, the familiar old cars made their last scheduled run today thanks to SEPTA's money troubles. Our Sue Clark went along for the final ride.
Clang, clang, clang went the trolley. Ding, ding, ding went the bell.
Judy Garland sang about them. These trolley fans love to talk about them.
I think they're a mechanical wonder, and they're also an institution.
Today they came from as far away as New York to say goodbye to a streetcar that has been a long-time tradition in Chestnut Hill.
I remember when I was a kid, when they first put these out, I was on it. I was on these trolleys since day one.
Today, people like Billy Walker came back for old time's sake. One last ride, one last memory. This trolley route was once the world's largest streetcar line. Imagine, back in the 40s, it cost just 8 cents to ride the Chestnut Hill Trolley. Today, it costs $1.60. And although there are many history buffs that cherish this route, there's just not enough of them to support keeping it on the track. So these vintage Chestnut Hill trolleys made their last trek up Germantown Avenue today, marking an end to an era of trolley service on Route 23. SEPTA is closing the door on them because of low ridership and budget woes.
We're trying to come up with any opportunity we can to save a little bit of money. So unfortunately, the Chestnut Hill trolley operation is going to be on hiatus until we can come up with some new money.
I get used to the sound of the wheels, and these look like trolleys. You know, it was just a childhood fantasy.
A fantasy that, at least for now, will end for trolley driver Don Jenkins, who's driven this route for more than 10 years and knows passengers by name.
I'm gonna miss Chestnut Hill.
And Jenkins' regular customers will miss him. But there is a glimmer of hope. SEPTA says the trolleys will still be chartered for special occasions. And the Philadelphia Trolley Coalition is working on ideas to use the streetcars as a tourism attraction. But for these diehards, it won't be the same. Another piece of history will be gone.
Ding, ding, ding went the bell.
In Chestnut Hill, Sue Clark, Inquirer News Tonight.
From the moment I saw him,
Well, the form of transportation tonight, we say goodbye to a staple of Philadelphia history. Today, trolley buffs and longtime passengers gathered to bid farewell to SEPTA's historic Chestnut Hill Trolley. As photographer Dave Northheimer found out, the service went out with much fanfare.
They first came to Philadelphia in 1947. Back at that time, you had more trolleys than you did buses running in the city of Philadelphia. Much simpler back then than it is now. $2.
Thank you very much.
Chestnut Hill Shuttle Line serves Germantown, Mount Airy, and Chestnut Hill.
Of the wheels of the trolley on the track. Do you like that sound? There's nothing else that sounds like that, just the trolley.
Trolley jollies. They're trolley fans.
It's a sad day because it's a historic trolley car line, and they should keep it.
Today is the last day for the Chestnut Hill trolleys to run the line.
I'm upset they're taking it off where other cities are building trolley lines at spending millions of dollars. And we're abandoning what we got. That's Philadelphia.
Clang, 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 trolley. Ding, 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 the bell.
So the so-called trolley city of a year ago is all of a sudden zero trolleys, and all the other cities are getting our fleet.
It's a shame that it's not running. Time marches on.
Say bye-bye, choo-choo.
Want them to ring the bell?
Say bye-bye.
In Chestnut Hill today. The old number 2785 trolley rumbled up Germantown Avenue for the very last time.
The Chestnut Hill Trolley was the last vintage trolley operating anywhere in the city. It's a cost-saving measure, but the trolley will be brought back for special occasions only.
Boy, that is too bad
Sad.
to see that go.
New Jersey derailed tonight in western Pennsylvania. At least 15 cars of the train jumped the tracks late today in Freeport, that's near Pittsburgh. 6 of the tanker cars fell into the Allegheny River, and at least one of the cars caught fire, sending chemical fumes into the air. Officials say the substance is isophthalic acid and that can cause skin irritation. But so far, no one has been hurt, and there have been no evacuations.
Penn Jr. Sue Vivola spends 4 hours on a trip from New York.
That's not bad. That's pretty short for Thanksgiving.
Amtrak has added extra trains and cars, but it's still not enough for the crush of commuters and Mother Nature.
If you think about it, folks travel Tuesday, Wednesday, and even Thursday to get to their destinations, but everyone comes home on Sunday.
Travelers between Philadelphia and New York after a train derailment this morning. Now here's the scene this morning from the air over the tracks between Newark and New York. A passenger and mail train jumped the tracks in the marshland just west of New York City. Several cars slammed into the grass and the soft mud. This all happened about 6:30 this morning. More than 80 people were on board the train, with some 30 suffering minor injuries. The train sideswiped an Amtrak commuter as
And suddenly the 2 engines and the coaches disappeared, just disappeared down the embankment, and a big cloud of dust.
Officials say the spongy mud may have spared lives. Tonight, the main tracks between New York and Newark remain closed. And here's the scene tonight at 30th Street Station in Philadelphia. Southbound travelers have no problem, but people taking Amtrak to New York can go no farther than Newark. No word yet on when the rail line will be reopened. And relatives seeking information about family members who may have been on the train can call this Amtrak helpline for any information. Also, I have a phone number for you to call for Amtrak scheduling. The phone number is 1-800-523-9101. That number again is 1-800-523-9101. Also tonight,
passengers. The accident happened at 6:33 yesterday morning when a fast mail train going from Washington to New York derailed in Secaucus, New Jersey after crossing the Hackensack River Bridge. 2 locomotives, 1 mail car, and 3 passenger cars slid off the tracks, down an embankment, and into a marsh. 34 passengers were injured. 2 are still in northern Jersey hospitals for observation. Many passengers were rerouted through 30th Street Station in Philadelphia before continuing on their journeys. Here's more.
We had to get off the train in New York and take a bus over to New Jersey and then take another train and get off in Philadelphia and wait about half an hour, 45 minutes to get on the next train.
And at this hour, the investigation into the cause of the accident is continuing.
For Amtrak commuters traveling in and out of New York City, rail officials say all trains should be pretty much on schedule just in time for the morning rush. Crews have been working around the clock clearing the crumpled debris and fixing the broken tracks. 4 cars and 2 locomotives jumped the track yesterday in Secaucus, New Jersey. 34 people were injured, and train service was canceled for more than 24 hours. Today, 1 line was running, but there were delays at 30th Street Station.
Tomorrow we'll have both tracks open. People may see some minor delays tomorrow, but we expect to have full service for the Monday morning rush hour.
Amtrak officials are hoping commuters in the morning will be as patient as the weekend crowd. Investigators are still trying to figure out why.
Officials say today and the day before Thanksgiving are the busiest single travel days on the rails. They expected 20,000 customers to pass through. Travelers came prepared to wait in long lines. They brought food and family to see them off.
The unpaid bag carrier today.
It's a lot more pleasant by having them with us to carry the luggage and so on.
Despite the crowds, most trains ran on schedule today. Amtrak says it added about 60 trains and 100 extra cars to help carry the extra holiday load. The trip home to our
drivers' poor judgment led to an accident that shut down a Conshohocken roadway for most of the day. It happened this morning on River Road in Ballagamingo. A Conrail freight train slammed into a truck that was parked on the railroad tracks. Police say Eugene Hardrick of Roselle, New Jersey, parked his rig on the tracks, then got out to ask for directions. He tried to move the truck when he heard the train whistle, but it was too late. Luckily, no one was hurt, but River Road in the area was closed for about 5
transit systems in other parts of the country. He's a man who has a reputation for breathing new life into an ailing system. Jacqueline Bolden reports.
Jack, I wish you a long and fulfilling tenure. Good luck.
Lou Gambaccini, who's stepping down as head of SEPTA early next year, was on hand today as his successor was named.
The success of transit over the next decade is going to be finding new ways to do business and be more innovative and creative in finding resources to bring that about.
54-year-old John, better known as Jack Leary, says his first priorities will be to get SEPTA in better shape financially and get more people riding SEPTA's buses, trains, and subways. He says that can be achieved through a greater public-private partnership.
I do know that privatization from time to time is looked at as an anti-labor sort of initiative, but it not necessarily has to be. I mean, there are times when you can perform work and it's one union versus the other, but the construction gets done by a union labor. So I don't think it has to necessarily be negative.
For the last 7 years, Leary headed up the mass transportation system in St. Louis, increasing bus ridership and overseeing the building of an 18-mile Metrolink rail line, which brought thousands of new passengers to mass transit there. That compares with SEPTA, which is on a different track. Ridership is down 22% over the last several years, and SEPTA began this fiscal year with a $75 million deficit, the largest budget gap in the agency's history. Mayor Rendell says SEPTA's new boss has his work cut out for him.
Unless we increase ridership, find a way to win back some of the riders we used to have and have lost, unless we find a way to do that, then we're going to continue to spiral downward into fiscal troubles that we just can't meet. Nice to meet you.
Leary says he hopes to pump new life into SEPTA by bringing the best of what he knows from mass transit in St. Louis and Boston, where he began his career. He begins his new job at SEPTA early next year. In Center City, Jacqueline Bolden, the Fox 10 o'clock news.
Coming up.
December 4th, 1996. Go to Foreman Aquilino, right North Wales by wind. Line 5, main line number 1 and 2 track obstructed for maintenance between 100 feet south of Main Street, North Wales. At 34, you have 4MD 0005.
There's the siren, so it should be happening any second now. You can hear the siren. Still waiting here. Obviously, they're running a little bit late. It's now 1 minute after 9.
Unless their clocks may be a little
Maybe
off.
our clocks.
Right. Wow. Actually, less than 15 seconds, huh? You know, we've seen these several times now, but it seems no matter how many times you see them, it's still a remarkable view to see.
It really is remarkable. I'm sure it's very hard, too, for all of the residents who lived there at one time, and to see their homes just to come crashing down like that in a matter of seconds.
Well, the good thing is that the residents will be involved in the planning of the new construction on the site. And key, as far as many of them are concerned, is being able to own their own homes. That is a factor that many say could bring about positive social change at Schuylkill Falls.
Now, here's what the PHA was concerned about, this dust cloud. You can see it from Sky 6. David, you're in the thick of this right now, right?
This is round 2 for me. Yeah, the dust is, just as we thought, coming directly toward us. Now, it's not quite as thick as it was after the Raymond Rosen implosion, the second Raymond Rosen implosion, but it's now creeping forward just the way it did then. And we are beginning to get doused by this stuff. I think we've got a replay from our position here, and we had a number of people on the roof with us here, and as soon as these buildings went, I could see a couple of these people just jump. I mean, we were only about 2.5 blocks away, and here it goes. That first building really got you, and then you're looking over at the second one, and you don't see it going right away, and you think, uh-oh, we're going to get hit again. And the sound of it wasn't quite as shattering the second time as it was the first time.
Well, Dave, what did it feel like there from where you were standing?
It jolted you. I mean, I saw people out of the corner of my eye sort of jump back like that, and that sort of got your heart racing a little bit. You could feel the jolt of the explosion, though, right through your gut, and that's a way that we've described it in the past. It really is something.
We see that you're being covered now. We see that cloud rapidly approaching you.
I should take a quick look down the way here, too, because we've got some other folks next to us here. It looks like we're all in a sudden snowstorm here. There they are. How was that for everybody? And they're all looking at me now like, can we go now? All right, run for cover, folks. We'll talk to you inside.
David, are you having a hard time breathing, or do you feel like your eyes are tearing up from all of the dust?
The breathing isn't a problem because of the mask. That really does actually a pretty good job, and now I see the sun breaking through here a little bit. The eyes, it's not that they're tearing up, but you know, there's little specks of things getting in there,
right.
And it's kind of like standing on the beach on a windy day, looking upwind and having the sand blow in your face.
Yeah, that was the concern this morning, the dust coming in and how it would affect residents in the area, and to make sure that they had closed their doors and their windows and any intake areas to avoid all of that dust. And of course, if it was very windy out there, that dust could travel for miles. So
let's check in with Denise now, who's with the dignitaries. Denise, what was the reaction over there? What was your viewpoint?
Oh, it was absolutely incredible. I've never seen anything like it. The buildings were there, then there was noise, smoke, and they were gone. They are gone. Of course, it is more than just an exciting moment. It represents much more. But before we get to that, this is John White Jr.'s son, Kellen White. How old are you, Kellen?
10.
10.
11.
11. You just had a birthday and probably forgot. You just watched it. What do you think?
It was loud.
Is it what you expected? You've seen some of these before?
No.
No? This is the first time? Why'd you want to see this today?
Because I just really wanted to see a building implode for some reason. I really wanted to see the building fall down. My dad invited me, so I came.
Now you have to write a report for school. You know this, right? John White, Executive Director of PHA. This, of course, represents more than a big boom excitement. What is this paving the way for?
Hopefully it's paving the way now for an entire new community to undergo the revitalization necessary to improve the quality of lives of hundreds of families who live at Schuylkill Falls.
Now, there are plans that are basically at the hope stage right now because there's no money behind.
Comes one building on the right crashing down, and then the one on the left. That was just unbelievable. We could actually hear a bit of the noise from here, even with our helicopter making plenty of noise. But again, we're looking at the dust here from Skycam 3, and it's moving away from the area to the east a bit. We still have the Schuylkill Expressway closed down, and we also have the boulevard, and again, the area in the streets in the area of the evacuation routes are still closed down as well. So the Schuylkill Expressway should be shut down for a little longer, as well as the boulevard.
20 years, they came down in 15 seconds.
Believe it or not, only 600 pounds of explosion was used to bring down those two buildings. We're going to go live back out to the scene with News 10's Christine Perez as to now as the dust is settling. Christine, you're on.
Action News tonight is a train derailment in Fairmount Park. Happened late last night, and work crews are still trying to clean things up at this hour. The Delaware and Hudson freight train was traveling through the area of 33rd and Girard when it derailed. It caused the freight cars to tip over. No one was injured in the mishap, and neither Amtrak or SEPTA service was affected. Crews spent the day riding the freight cars. Much of the work continues tonight. In Gloucester,
in North Philadelphia, had an early morning scare today. Just after midnight, 4 cars of a freight train derailed in the 3200 block of Master Street. That's just west of Kelly Drive. At first, officials were concerned that the train may have spilled hazardous materials, but the cargo train was only carrying phosphate. There were no injuries, and service has been restored to that area. And firefighters...
Train cars derailed late last night, spilling fertilizer.
And News 10's Drew Levinson now joins us live from the scene in Fairmount Park. Good morning, Drew.
Good morning, guys. Good afternoon, I guess, as it were. The cleanup does continue. Now with the rain, it's making it even more difficult for these guys. You can see back here, they have been trying to move these trains out of the way all morning long, and it's going to be a long task for them, going to go well into the afternoon, maybe even the evening. As dawn broke, railroad workers got a good look at what they had, and what they had was a mess. 10 of the 68 cars on the Delaware and Hudson northbound freight train derailed just after 11 last night.
How difficult a job is this to try to right this train?
Well, the cars each go 100 ton apiece, and that's why we have these this special equipment here from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and they'll make it look easy.
This is what's on board. Fertilizer, tons of it.
There's nothing hazmat about it at all. It's a safe product, and it was a bulk train off the CSX.
When the cars left the tracks, they literally moved the rails, ripped apart switches, and left behind a bunch of mangled metal.
Well, if you have your wheels down inside the gauge or inside switches, naturally, you know, it's the weight of the cars. It's going to tear the railroad up pretty good.
So it tore all this up?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
While this Camden to Trenton line is closed, other trains are being detoured. Workers hope to have it all cleaned up and the tracks open again by late afternoon. Now, as we come back live, you can see the work continues trying to get the car back on the wheels there. As well, you can see the fertilizer has covered over the tracks now, and over on this side, as you look down a little bit, you can see the tracks have been taken totally out of here. Those are the trestles and the fertilizer right there. Again, a big mess, and to give you an idea of where we are off of Kelly Drive, about 150 feet from Kelly Drive here in the Fairmount Park section of Philadelphia. Again, this is going to take a long time. Probably at least 12 to 18 more hours until they have this completely cleaned up. In the Fairmount Park section of Philadelphia, Drew Levinson, News 10.
All right, thanks, Drew. A lot to clean up.
Fairmount Park. The 68-car Canadian Pacific train was carrying fertilizer from Florida to upstate New York. For a time, fire officials feared the train might have been carrying hazardous materials. So far, no word on what caused the train to jump the tracks. Los Angeles
Workers at the site of a train derailment in Fairmount Park. 10 freight cars jumped the track about 1 this afternoon near the 3200 block of West Thompson Street. 4 of the cars overturned, spilling their contents. The D&H freight train had 68 cars. They were all loaded with non-hazardous minerals. Railroad officials are investigating what caused the derailment and say it looked much worse than it really was. The weight of the heavy cars caused a domino effect and tore up a stretch of Conrail tracks. No one was injured. No passenger lines were affected.
A deadly tornado.
Dangerous in another part of Philadelphia tonight. A 12-year-old boy was injured falling from a bridge onto railroad tracks. The young boy was playing on the ledge in the 2300 block of 71st Street. His shirt is still dangling from the overpass. According to police, the child fell 40 feet onto the tracks, grabbing wires as he tumbled down. Neighbors heard the screaming and rushed to the scene. Some say it could have been much worse.
The way those Amtrak trains go through there, he's lucky it wasn't one coming through when he fell. He would have been in real bad shape. It would have had to have been fatal. I'm sure it would have been fatal.
The young victim is at St. Christopher's Hospital tonight. He's in stable condition.
Boy is in a hospital tonight after falling 40 feet from a bridge in southwest Philadelphia onto some railroad tracks. Sources tell News 10 the child fell from this bridge and hit some electrical wires before finally landing on the tracks some 40 feet below. At this hour, the boy is in stable condition, being treated for electrical burns. No word on how he fell. Meanwhile, 2 Philadelphia police officers were